The NBA is officially the sport that treats its legends the worst. Look at what happens when you type in NBA GOAT debate in YouTube. What is that? First 8? First 10? All just Michael Jordan and LeBron James. 80 years of basketball compressed down to 2 players. And you know the worst part? Not one of these arguments differs from the other. It's the same recycled statistics that spit out to you every day. And then they wonder why people are walking away from the NBA. Well, that ends today because we are considering everybody, past and present. We are ranking the 12 greatest players to ever step on an NBA court. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Shaquille O'Neal, Tim Duncan, Michael Jordan, Steph Curry, and Kevin Durant. By the end, we will make our way to number 1. And at that point, there will be no doubt. Oh, and we're gonna do it by actually complimenting everyone and not tearing down people's legacies. Novel concept, I know. Coming in at 12th on the NBA GOAT list is the Slim Reaper, Kevin Durant. 7 foot tall, guard handles, can shoot the 3 at an amazingly high clip, can shoot it over anybody, and is the smoothest scorer, not named Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan. What's crazy is Kevin Durant still has time to actually make his legacy go even deeper now in Houston. In fact, if he wins a title in Houston, he could easily move up in this list because Kevin Durant's done it all. The only real question about him is leadership. He's always shied away from being that vocal leader and mentor. And we believe that's what's held him back from being in the top 10. Because skill-wise, I don't know if anybody can stand with Kevin Durant. But it's not just about skill and potential. It's about the output. And leadership is what separates him from the next GOAT contender, his former teammate, Stephen Curry. Now, Bleacher Report has him as 10th on the list. They know nothing. Stephen Curry is the greatest shooter God ever created. Steph Curry has 4 championships, 2 MVPs, a finals MVP, and when he's on fire, he is the greatest nuclear weapon in NBA history. You know why? Because 3 points are more than 2, and nobody can shoot 3s like Steph Curry. Not even close. The main knock with Steph Curry, which you can't even really knock him for, but it will impact the overall standings, is that he's had so much help during those championship years that compared with other people on this list who a lot of the times had 0 help, that's literally the only thing separating him. And again, Steph is still in the league and still performing at a legendary level. Plus, that 2022 title does take away from a lot of the criticism that he received before. Even above Kevin Durant, expect Steph Curry to move up this list. Coming in at number 10, we have Bill Russell, the greatest winner of all time. 11 championships, 13 years, one as a player manager, and snatched the soul of the next guy on this list. But in truth, everyone on this list, including Kevin Durant and Steph Curry, had to be 2-way studs. The absolute number 1 offensive option every night, the entire game plan. But that wasn't the case for Bill Russell. He had the luxury of being the defensive leader, the heart and soul, the captain. But he wasn't the main offensive option. And that's gotta count against. Because when you compare with everyone else who were 2-way threats, then if you're not one, it takes away. At 9 we have Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain. Let's get a few things correct first. Wilt, even till today, might be the greatest athlete that's ever laced up a pair of kicks. There's just not enough footage out there for us to prove it or not prove it. But Wilt, make no mistake about it, is, was, and will forever be a once-in-a-lifetime athlete. The dude averaged 50 points and 25 rebounds in a single season. He scored 100 points in a game when the 3-point line didn't even exist. What he did statistically will never ever be replicated. And this is the first big pain point between older NBA viewers and the current. Because the current don't even know who Wilt is, will do anything they could to dismiss him. But the old people looking at these stats will say, Wilt Chamberlain's the GOAT, he's the GOAT, he's the GOAT. No one is better. But when you talk about GOATs, especially in the NBA, you gotta go much deeper than just regular season stats. Because the NBA is a playoff championship-based league. And if you're that dominant, if you're Wilt Chamberlain, that should translate into championships, no? Well, not really. Wilt only won twice and lost in the finals a number of times to, guess who? Bill Russell. And so we have number 12, 11, 10, and 9. And you know what? Most people would agree with this list and say, yeah, that sounds about right. It's time for some movement. Look, man, the whole point of GOAT lists and NBA and time is that over time, people are able to break records. The same top 10 can't just keep pervading over time. And if we look at the accomplishments of Stephen Curry, a guy who has 4 titles, changed the game, is the greatest shooter of all time, while not having once in a generation, once in a lifetime athleticism. The fact that even in his mid-30s, he's as unguardable as ever, and still the most nuclear weapon in the clutch in the NBA, I think it's time we do our own revision. We don't wait for things to change. We do it ourselves. So it's time. Steph Curry's moving up in our list. Gaston, make the change, please. So now our new list. Steph Curry 9th, Wilt Chamberlain 10th, Bill Russell 11th, and we're gonna keep Kevin Durant at 12th. But again, if Kevin Durant can win a title in Houston, I believe he can go up to 11 and maybe even make the top 10. Let's think about it a different way. If we're having a game, the top 10 players of all time, 5-on-5, you really not gonna have the greatest shooter of all time in that game starting? Come on now. That's the smarter way to look at it. Are you actually gonna have 5 centers playing? That doesn't even make sense, man. Let's think about it logically, dude. This is not trashing Wilt and Bill's legacy at all. It's paying homage to them. They paved the way so guys like Steph Curry and Kevin Durant could fly. Simple. Trust me, I get it. Freaking Warriors. I hate the bloody Warriors. But truthfully, we can't just ignore what's right in front of us. Steph Curry is a top 10 greatest player in NBA history. It's undeniable at this point. Number 8, the non-hick from French Lick, Larry freaking Bird. Funnily enough, Bird is actually like a combo hybrid of both Steph and KD. He's super tall and could shoot the lights out like KD, and Steph was a great passer, great leader, and extraordinary winner.
We're walking out and Larry said, I'm gonna get it right here, Ed, and I'm gonna shoot it in your face. He hit it and he looked at me and he was like, damn, I didn't mean to leave nothing on the clock.
He's still the only one to make 3 MVPs in a row. Yup, the last person to do it, Larry, legend. Not even Michael Jordan has done that. Oh yeah, and speaking of Michael Jordan, Larry Bird is one of the few people whose teams have a favorable record against Michael Jordan. Larry Bird is regarded as one of the greatest clutch players, greatest leaders, and most importantly, he is one of 2 men credited with saving the NBA. So why is he not higher on this list? The only reason, honestly, is longevity. And why we rate him higher than players like Steph, KD, Wilt, and Bill? It's simple. He's just done more with less physical capabilities and genetic gifts. And he has more clutch moments than either of them, and his team won way more. But while Larry Bird maximized everything he could and more, the next guy on this list was the exact opposite and should be much higher. Shaquille O'Neal, the big Shactus, the big Aristotle, Shaq Diesel, Shaq Fu. I've missed like 15 other nicknames, but you get the point. Shaquille O'Neal was that rare breed of being both the biggest bully, but also being about it when confronted. Unlike most bullies who cower when you step up to them, Shaq would slap you in the face and then be laughing about it 5 minutes later. What was crazy about Shaq was he's the first person on this list where he had you defeated before even stepping on the court. He was just such a physical nightmare and presence and had that ridiculous blend of size, light feet, and that dog in him. Shaq was the meanest, biggest, strongest man around. He would never hesitate to let you know about it. Shaq's peak from 2000 to 2002 with the 3 finals MVPs and 1 regular season MVP, his peak might be the greatest on this list, bar none. Yes, those 3 finals runs, he's widely considered the best player in a team that featured young Kobe Bryant, who averaged almost 29 points a game. That's how great Shaq was. But here's where Shaq is only ranked 7 in our list and should be much higher. While Shaq was a good leader, he won, he produced, Shaq was never actually in shape. Shaq never gave his 100%. And that is a huge black mark when we're talking about NBA GOATs. He says it himself. If he was in shape during the seasons instead of playing his way into shape, if he cared even 15% more, look at even in his later years, Shaq could easily be in the top 3 in this list. That's what's scary. He did all of this by purely waking up and being the biggest, baddest dude. So in a sense, he did it without trying. Imagine if he tried. And Shaq is one of my favorite players ever. So I'm not slandering him in any way. I actually think what he's done after his playing career is just as impressive. But when you're talking about guys who bleed, die, sweat, and give up everything for this, they have to rank ahead of a guy who just rolled out of bed and gave you 30 and 15. And today, number 6 on our list, a huge, big shout out to the big fundamental Tim Duncan. Man, I hated Tim Duncan when he was playing. This guy was legitimately like the Terminator. He didn't speak. He didn't fall for trash talk. You couldn't push him off. You couldn't flap him. You couldn't change his game. Oh yeah, and if your favorite team was playing against the Spurs in the playoffs, they were losing, no matter who they were. And yet, every single year, even when he was playing, they counted out the Spurs. And every single year, guess who was in the Western Conference Finals or Finals? Tim Duncan has 5 championships, 2 regular season MVPs, 3 Finals MVPs, was the leader of a 20-year franchise run. He was the main stalwart over 3 rebuilds in San Antonio. And we can't even call them rebuilds because they never missed the bleeping playoffs. That's how good this guy was. And it didn't matter. He was the main offensive option. He was the main defensive option. He was the out and out leader. He was an Iron Man. And let's not forget, if Chris Bosh doesn't get that rebound and kick out to Ray Allen to save my Heat's bacon, Tim Duncan has 6 championships and 4 finals MVPs. And you would be absolutely insane to keep him off the top 5. But it's funny because I say I hate Tim Duncan, but at the same time in high school when I played ball, I was the tallest guy in my school. And my coach said to me, bro, you don't have a lick of athleticism. You better pattern your game after Tim Duncan. Come to think of it, it's pretty good advice. And now, here's where the real fun begins. Coming in at number 5 on our GOAT list. And this is gonna make a lot of people mad. Kareem Abdul Jabbar. Yeah, I said it. Kareem, 5th. So now a lot of old heads are gonna either click off or walk away or say that I'm an absolute moron. But no, I say you have to change with the times. And that's the whole point of this video. That's why this is the only NBA GOAT debate you'll ever watch again. Because we're giving everyone their due. But we're also evolving. Kareem Abdul Jabbar. Many people say he's the greatest player of all time. Kareem had it all. He had the size, he had the skill, he had the will, he was a great defender, and when he prioritized it, was a great leader. Plus, he's the first person on this list with an absolute, unstoppable, 100% of the time go-to shot. When you need a bucket, get it down to Kareem, and he'll score you a 2 with the skyhook. And that's what makes it even more impressive is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar never shot threes. Like never. But he was the leading points getter in NBA history for 40 plus years until LeBron James broke it 2 years ago. But Kareem didn't shoot a single three. Again, I must emphasize that. So imagine how great of an offensive force he must have been. He was absolutely unguardable and unstoppable. A certified bucket. Might be the only reason he's not higher on this list. And again, it's to do with leadership and desire. Very similar to Shaq. And as I forgot to mention with Shaq, both Kareem and Shaq had teammates who cared more and were better leaders and better winners overall. The critical thing about Kareem that most people leave out, especially stupid NBA media who doesn't even talk about anyone besides LeBron and Mike, the thing that people leave out is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, after 1978, 1979, he had one title and he was heavily considering retirement. It was when they drafted Magic Johnson that Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's career got a second spark, a second win. And yes, he was the main offensive option on those Laker teams that went on to win 5 more titles. But let's be honest, he was not the best player. We can debate that, but he wasn't. But what we can't debate is he was not their leader. Not emotionally, not spiritually. He said it himself. And that's why Kareem's teammate, Earvin Magic Johnson, comes in at number 4. He's the second half of the twosome that saved the NBA with Larry Bird. The NBA was about to fold up when they drafted these two. Magic Johnson started the Showtime Lakers. He basically built that brand with Jerry Buss, a brand that still pervades till today. But what separates Magic and these top GOAT contenders is basketball was their pride, their joy. They didn't clock in and go do anything else. This was all they had. And with Magic, he showed it. The smile, the flash, but then the absolute dog killer. The winner, 5 championships, 3 finals MVPs, 3 regular season MVPs. The conductor, the greatest point guard of all time. Inevitable in so many ways. Even after Kareem retired, Magic still found himself in the finals. Even after being diagnosed with HIV, he still came back and won All-Star Game MVP. In fact, Michael Jordan himself says, Larry Bird and Magic are the only two he doesn't put himself over because they revolutionized the game. Look, I'm gonna be real with you. Magic Johnson, if he actually was able to play for 5 more years, he would be considered the GOAT, if not second GOAT. Honestly, the only reason he's not higher on this list is longevity. That's it. That's all that's missing from Magic Johnson being a top 3, if not top 2 player. But he has everything else, without question. But there's one Laker that's actually superior to Magic Johnson. And Magic Johnson said it himself. His name is Kobe Jelly Bean Bryant. 5 championships, 2 finals MVPs, 1 regular season MVP. But Kobe Bryant always said that Michael Jordan was his biggest idol and he patterned his game after him. Well, he might have messed around and actually become a better scorer than Michael Jordan and become the best scorer in NBA history. Kobe Bryant has the single game scoring record of 81 points, but it's in the modern era, not when it was black and white and nobody has record of Wilt doing it, though we obviously believe Wilt did it. He has the most 50-point game streak behind, oh yeah, Wilt. But again, Kobe was doing it in the mid 2000s against insane competition. This was against Wade in his prime, T-Mac in his prime, LeBron in his prime, Carmelo Anthony in his prime, Chris Bosh in his prime. Remember, the Heatles, Wade, Bosh, and LeBron got together because they saw Kobe constantly winning. Literally, again, no word of a lie here, bro. That's what Dwayne Wade has said many times. Kobe's resume stands above almost anybody else, except the 2 ahead of him on this list. But the distance between Kobe Bryant and number 2 is far closer than anybody is to number one. Standing in at number 2 on this list, and I'm sorry for LeBron James fans if you call this slander, but LeBron James is the second greatest basketball player to ever play. Not the first. But we need to change narratives here. It is not an insult to be called the second greatest basketball player of all time. Nor is it an insult to be called the third greatest basketball player, or the fourth, or the fifth. If you are rated a top 5 NBA player, that is a compliment. And I don't care what anyone has to say. You can hate LeBron as much as you want. But if you say he's not a top 10 player, you don't know anything about basketball and your opinion deserves to be thrown in the trash. At year 22, LeBron James averaged 25, 8 and 5, and that was considered a down year. For 21 years, this man has averaged 27, 8 and 7 on extraordinary efficiency. And similar to Kobe, LeBron James had his opponents defeated before they even stepped on the court. Just ask the LeBronto Raptors. They had given up as soon as they saw LeBron James' name on the opponent's sheet. This notion that LeBron didn't scare anybody? Bro, where have people come up with that? Of course he scared everybody, bro. Pound for pound, 6'9", 260, could jump out the gym, run like a gazelle, but is also probably the second greatest passer in history behind Magic Johnson, and is probably the smartest NBA player in history alongside Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Magic. LeBron James has it all. For people under the age of 25, he's the only choice for the greatest player of all time because that's all they've seen. And if you look at YouTube, NBA media, and the rest, it's only about LeBron James. And while statistically speaking, he of course has a case to be the NBA GOAT. In fact, we can say it right here. He is the NBA GOAT of statistics. He's the NBA GOAT of longevity. He's the NBA GOAT for finals run. The man went to 8 straight finals and 9 in 10 years. Again, in the modern NBA. That will never ever be replicated. And if you look at guys like Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton, after one playoff run, or let's say 2 for Tatum, their bodies absolutely collapsed. But here is LeBron James. 8 seasons straight of going to the finals, and this dude never even looked tired. It's that level. LeBron James has lived, breathed, and slept basketball for 21 years. And actually, even number 1 on this list hasn't done that. But when we're comparing Kobe and LeBron, the reason we give LeBron the edge by just a little, it's because of teammates and what LeBron was able to do or able to extract out of teammates. LeBron James is maybe the best in history out of getting the best out of his teammates. And again, do not confuse this with help. We're not saying Kobe had more help than LeBron and that LeBron didn't have help. LeBron's had insane amounts of help through his career. But it's also that a lot of the times his superstar partners were injured and LeBron had to go at it alone. And when he did, the results are undeniable. And when you think about Kobe in the lean years with the Lakers, he still did a lot. Again, this narrative that Kobe couldn't elevate people is wrong, but it's a matter of degree. Kobe also had shit teams that he took to the playoffs, but LeBron took those same types of teams further. And so it's just that by a hair. But here's the real rub. Complimenting another player is not slander. LeBron James, no matter how you feel, he is one of the greatest players to ever play. But there's only one thing that truly separates LeBron James from this next guy. And no, it's not losses in the finals. There can only be one. And the greatest basketball player of all time, between those 4 lines, 94 feet, is Michael Jeffrey Jordan. And I'm sorry to say this, it's not close. And it's not about him versus LeBron, him versus Kobe, him versus so-and-so. It doesn't matter who you line it up against. Michael Jordan is far superior. When LeBron fans talk about longevity and they say, hey, Michael Jordan quit twice. He only was here for 13 years with the Bulls and then another 2 with the Wizards. LeBron's done it for 21 years. He's carried the NBA on his back. But here's the thing about longevity. If it's too long, it starts to play against you. And unfortunately for LeBron James, the longevity is starting to play against him in the GOAT debate. Kevin Durant made a crack recently on LeBron's podcast about Michael Jordan playing baseball. But if we look at this graphic right here, in 13 seasons with the Bulls, Michael Jordan has done more than both LeBron James and Kevin Durant combined in so many ways. And before you young bucks scream bias, I started watching basketball in 2001 when Michael Jordan was playing for the Wizards. Everything I've seen of MJ is from research and videos and historical documents. In fact, I saw Kobe in his prime and LeBron's entire career. So if anything, my bias should trend that way. But still I sit here saying Michael Jordan's the best basketball player of all time, and it's not even close. Because he has all the best traits of all of these guys, but actually did it better. 6 championships, only matched by Kareem. But he has 6 finals MVPs, matched by nobody. 5 regular season MVPs. That's more than LeBron and Kobe. That's the same as LeBron and Kobe combined. And guess what? He did that in 13 seasons. LeBron is on season 22 with 4 MVPs, 4 championships. Oh, and Michael Jordan not only didn't lose in the final, he didn't get to game 7. He didn't even give his opponent a glimmer of hope. And it's that level where everyone on this list has done legendary one-of-one things. But Michael Jordan's done more of it. 6 for 6 in the finals. He has 6 championships, which is only equaled by Kareem. But he also has 6 finals MVPs versus Kareem's 2. He has 5 regular season MVPs. Again, only bested by Kareem. But the difference, Michael Jordan was the first and second offensive option. He was the best defensive player. He was the out and out leader. He was the only one any team game planned for, but still was the greatest scorer in NBA history, bar none. He is the owner of the most efficient shot in NBA history, which is the fadeaway from the post. Right side, left side, don't matter. And that's the other thing about Michael Jordan is even as his athleticism waned a little, his adaptation to what his game could become is again bar none. And the one thing that separates him from LeBron James or anybody else, the killer instinct. Michael Jordan wanted to rip out the throat of his opponent and then still keep scoring. It didn't matter if he was up by 10, by 30, by 50. Michael Jordan wanted to kill you. And when we're talking about the greatest player ever to play the game, how can you say LeBron is the greatest when he had the 2011 meltdown? But Michael Jordan never had a meltdown. But that's all it is, guys. It doesn't need to be more complicated than that.